Want to start?
Yeah. All right, this meeting of the Historic District Commission will take place in a webinar format through Zoom. The chair of the commission is Sarah Moriarty. The host of the webinar is the building official. Staff attending this meeting include Peter Zavinglis and Linda Galetta. Anyone speaking should state their names prior to speaking each time. The panelists in this webinar meeting will be the commission members and the building staff. Panelists who would like to comment on an item should indicate such by using the icon to raise hand at the bottom of the screen. After a panelist raises their hand, they will be able to comment one at a time when called upon by the chairperson. Panelists should mute their microphones until called upon. Panelists calling into the meeting by telephone may raise or lower their hand by pressing *9. To mute or unmute your call, press *6. To make a motion or second a motion, commission members can raise their hand and be acknowledged by the host or chair. To vote on a motion, commission members will be called upon individually by the chair to vote. The public can participate in the meeting during the public communications agenda item. The public will be asked to raise their hand during the public communications if they want to speak at this time by using the icon to raise hand at the bottom of the screen. And the public will be called upon by the host one at a time and will be able to speak during this time. Attendees must identify themselves before speaking.
Thank you. So I will call the meeting to order on October 20th at 7:03. And Todd, if you want to read the call.
A second. I still can't hear. Okay, got it. You may want to go ahead and do it because.
Okay, let me just find it. All right, I've got it. Dear Michelle, please publish the following public notice for one insertion on Monday, October 12th, 2020. Town of Groton notice public hearing, Historic District Commission. The Historic District Commission will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, October 20th, 2020 at 7 p.m. virtually via Zoom platform to hear the following applications requesting a certificate of appropriateness. HDC 20-67, 11 Gravel Street, Bob and Susan Prue, owners applicants, remove chimney, change windows and door, PIN number 2619184123114. A Zoom meeting link will be posted on the town's website meetings calendar or can be attended by visiting www.zoom.us. Webinar ID 870-95220236, password 867728, or by phone 1-312-626-6799. Applications are on file and available for public inspection during normal business hours at the Planning Department, 134 Groton Long Point Road, Groton, Connecticut. Dated this 9th day of October 2020 at Groton, Connecticut. Todd Brady, Secretary. All right. So I will call the first public hearing. This is the one that I was going to recuse myself on, so I don't know if someone else would like to call it. I can't recollect if I call it and then I just don't participate. Okay, so someone else will. Can Todd not hear?
Where do you go? Can you hear us, Todd?
I can hear you.
Okay, so I'm going to recuse myself for HDC 20-63. Can you call it?
Okay. Sorry about that. Okay, HDC 20-63, 2 Elm Street, Laurie Reed and Catherine Reed, owners, Creative Enclosures. Are we there?
Yes.
You see that?
I can't. Are they there? I can't hear them.
Oh, is that?
Can you hear me now?
Oh, yes.
Thank you, board. Kevin Jalili from Creative Enclosures. May I continue?
I'm sorry.
May I continue?
I don't know, you're not very clear to me.
How about now?
Clear to the-
Trying to make it so you guys can hear me.
Eric, can you hear me?
I can, yep.
Is he clear to you? Can you understand what he's saying?
He is to me. Don?
Yeah, I can hear you.
But can you hear Kevin?
Hi, Todd, you can't hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. You're a little garbled.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Well, just go ahead.
Thank you, Todd. Thank you, board. So on October 6th, I met with you all, and you had some great questions that I needed to go back and address. And on October 7th, the day after our meeting, I did go back and I did get your questions completely addressed. And I had my production manager, Jason Basley, email Linda Goletta all the documents pertaining to all your questions that you needed answered, which I have here in front of me today. I don't see them on the computer in front of you today, so I hope you do have them.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Which screen is
can
on there
hear
right
you,
now?
but-
Which screen is showing right now?
Right now, I'm looking at the application for a certificate of appropriateness.
Okay,
A
No.
site plan.
okay, so what do you, this is your, basically what you
So
submitted.
yes, if you could hold that right there where you are. The staircase viewed on the right gable wall is inaccurate. There will not be a staircase or a door on the right gable wall. The staircase on the front wall is correct, and it is only 2 stairs to grade. No railing will be required. There will be no railing installed. As per Connecticut code. So that's the issue of the rail.
So you're saying there won't be a rail?
There'll be no rails. No rails are required. We're not going to be installing any rails.
And they're going to be one set of steps or two?
It's going to be 2 stairs.
Two
2
separate
stairs.
stairs or 2 risers?
Correct.
It's going to be 2 risers, but
That's correct, Todd.
one set of stairs on the left and one set of stairs on the right?
Negative. 1 set of stairs on the front wall towards the left side, affirmative. No stairs whatsoever will be on the right gable wall.
All right, so we are looking at this drawing here and we have to ignore the rails. We have to ignore the stair on the right, and we have to take the stair on the left and have it have only 2 risers to the grade.
That's correct. That's correct. And I did submit an amended drawing on October 7th, floor plan A1.1 with those verbally, with the amendments I'm sharing. So you will see A1.1.
Is that the end, Peter?
That was the end of it.
So are we looking now for a drawing that shows what you just described to us? I'm not sure what we're supposed to be seeing.
Sir, I submitted you guys on October 7th. I submitted an invoice showing you guys the exact trim details for both fascia, frieze boards, and rakes. I submitted a revised floor plan showing the amendments to the stairs, along with the cover letter.
Okay, but Peter, did those exhibits not make it in?
I'm not seeing any of the documents.
No, I'm not seeing them there either.
Shall I scan them over to you right now?
Problem is, they need to be published for any neighbors or anything. I don't think anyone has any problem.
They're in my email.
Who'd you send the email to?
I sent it to Linda. Let me. Now, Zoom ain't gonna let me go back to my email, huh? Let's have it.
Take a look and see if I can find it in here.
So on our correspondence, it does show 3 attachments. That 3 were sent and received here. And this is from yesterday at 10:19.
Wait, you sent the amendments yesterday?
No, I sent them on October 7th. But this is the trail, and on the trail, on the back of the email shows you 3 attachments in the corner, upper corner here. Can you guys see this? Why the attachments haven't been, why they're not loaded for you, for everybody else to see, I don't know. But I did do my part right away the day after.
Again, I don't have any problem with what you're doing, and I can tell you I would be voting to approve it. However, there's nothing in the file and it hasn't been published. So we can't vote on it.
How does that happen?
I don't know.
Somebody help me with that? Tell me how that happens? I don't know. I've never done this. So all I know is I keep telling a client she has to wait. She has to wait. And I'm in a position where I'm really running out of time. Can you guys see? Can you see this?
It's not about whether we can see it or not. It needs to, with the Zoom protocols, they need to be published. And the first time you didn't have enough information.
Is Linda on this call?
Pardon me?
Linda Galetta, she was on our call at the last meeting on October 6th. She was the recipient of my documents on October 7th.
All right, well, we'd have to see, it should be going to Tom Zanarini now.
Well, I got that message yesterday. I was informed of Tom Zanarini.
Okay.
That was yesterday I was informed of him. I don't know when Tom took over. But the day after our meeting, I submitted all aforesaid documents that you guys requested straight over to the town. Had it done at 10 a.m. the next day.
I'm trying to get into my emails for more. Hang on one second, see if we can find it in there. Oh, come on, what's going on with my connection?
So you sent this email to Linda Galetta or to Peter?
That's correct. lgalletta@groton-ct.gov, Wednesday, October 7th at 11:27 a.m.
This is for 2 Elm Street. Huh?
Todd, I'm just gonna butt in.
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, this is unfortunate and it stinks because like I said, I would have voted on it. But the reality is they haven't been published. Anyone looking hasn't had a chance to see them. That's the protocol. We can't vote on it. Let's just move on and do it in 2 weeks and just make sure that the documents are on there.
Yeah, but all we can do at this point is apologize for what appears to have been miscommunication or mix-up.
Have a good night. I can't do my job. You guys are making it difficult for residents of Mystic that are making the community better. I get you got protocols, but this is not a good look. Not a good look. I gotta tell you.
Yeah, sir, I understand that. And I don't think it was a intentional act by any means.
Oh, I'm sure it's not intentional. I know it's been a month. I cannot prolong.
With all due respect, had you have had the information that was requested or should have been in the file in the last meeting, I would have voted to approve it.
I can't find an email from him on the 7th.
I can't hear you.
You can't find it, Peter?
No.
And Linda, I don't see where you are, but I guess you don't have it either, huh?
Well, the only thing I would suggest, sir, is that you go on the Town of Groton's portal at least 48 hours before the next hearing and see if your documents show up. And if not, then make a phone call as to why they're not there.
I can't hear you.
We can't hear you. Yeah. Your audio's off.
Did you guys hear me?
Yeah, we heard you, Don.
I can hear you. All right. Well, I guess that we have no choice but to move on. We're going to have to continue this, and I apologize for the whatever occurred that didn't work out. I mean, this is not something that's typically happens. Your audio is off, sir, so we can't hear you.
All right, hang on 1 second. Let me see if I can transfer this over. Put them on hold and wait until come back. We'll move on to the next one.
Okay.
I'm going to try and work on trying to get this over. I think I found something on it.
Yes,
Problem is, even if you didn't get it over, though, it's not noticed. So,
we'll go on to the next hearing.
yeah, I mean, we would have voted. I would have voted for it last time. Like I said, I think it's a great addition.
Yeah, I mean, Eric has a point. Even if you find it, Pete.
We're going to run into the same problem we ran into with the neighbor with the fence. And
And then it wasn't published.
correct.
Since this is let's go on to the next one, but this is a procedure issue. The changes were published, so neighbors had noticed that they were doing something. Have we gotten to the point, and maybe this is something to discuss in new business, but have we gotten to the point where they can't make any modifications in a public hearing? Because if that's the case, then people are going to have to keep coming back numerous times. I thought the issue with previously was they weren't even noticed that something was occurring, where there was something published in the paper on this particular application. It just, what was published, there were details that were changing.
I don't think you should be able to make changes to the application if there's published documents that show something. If you're going to make an ad hoc change like to a material, but the look is the same, I would tend to agree that that's just a minor modification. But if you're making a change, a significant visual change, I think you have to show it.
So I'm just thinking, when we would do our in-person hearings, if someone made a change, we would be able to make the change then and there. And the notice issue was the same. The same people had the same notice, and it was their option to come or not. So this probably isn't the place to discuss this, but it's something that we might just want to make sure we're all on the same page about.
I just think the difference in the public hearings when we had it in person was we didn't publish anything besides a text notice.
Right,
Now
that there
we're
was something that was going to be there.
Right now, we're saying you can't come. Here's everything published ahead of time. Here's the pictures. So someone says yay or nay whether they want to have an opinion on it and join.
Mhm.
It's a little more rigid.
Okay. All right, well, let's call the next one for now and see what happens. HDC 20-67, 11 Gravel Street, Bob and Susan Frew. Owner's applicant removed chimney, changed windows and door. Mr. and Mrs. Frew, you have the floor. You're on mute, Mr. and Mrs. Frew.
I don't think your audio's on.
There you
Okay,
go.
are we unmuted?
You
Yes.
are unmuted.
All right. Well, we did the major renovation of the building 20 years ago. And we've in fact owned the building for 26 years. There's no mortgage on it. We love it and our children love it too. So we're going to be there for a long time. What we didn't do 20 years ago was finish the summer kitchen. And what we want to do this time is to convert the summer kitchen to a master bedroom, and we want to move the bathroom. That means for the Historic Commission, we want to take down an unused chimney, and we want to move one window, and this is all in the back elevation, and to put a door in place of a window.
The window that he's talking about that he wants to move, you can't see it from this photo. It's it's perpendicular. It's all the way in the back where you can't see it.
Can you see it from a public street?
No,
Then
Yeah, we raised that issue at the last meeting.
so this is the old plan. This is what's presently there now. So the bathroom's in the back and we wanted to move it so that people on the first floor don't have to walk through a bedroom to get to the bathroom, and have a master bedroom that's really off in the back.
Is the site plan here, here?
Right there.
Yeah, back.
Yeah, that's what we're proposing to do.
Oh, can we see the more of the back?
There's the site.
There's the site.
So Eric, you see this is all interior to the lot, what you're seeing. So if you go, the street is right down here on the bottom.
yeah, I mean, if you can't see the window, they want to change the window, change the window.
So what they're doing is they're getting permission, they want permission to take down the chimney in the back, which is unused, which Peter could show us a photograph of it if it's in the right place. Back up the other way. There, see that chimney on the left there?
Yes, that's it.
Down, because they're making more space inside. And those are the two basic changes, aren't they?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, anyone have any comment on this?
Well, obviously you can see the chimney from the street, so at least that part of it is within our jurisdiction.
Right.
Is there any way you could take out the chimney below the roof line and just leave the top of it?
Would be very difficult, because we want to make the master bedroom a cathedral ceiling.
Got it.
And where the chimney is would be where our bed is, would be where the bed, it would be in the middle of the bed.
But, no, I meant you could remove it below the roof line, but if it's right, if you're gonna go for, I understand what you're saying.
I mean, I think in this instance, I have done this before. The Dutch Bell has a faux chimney on the top, but it's in an attic, and there's a decent sized structure that holds that chimney up because they're the real bricks cut down to a narrow width, And there's a lot more chimney on top of this than is on top of the bell. So my personal opinion is, I don't think that the chimney is a critical element in the overall appearance or design of the house. And in fact, I think it looks a little odd.
It was probably an addition later than the original structure, I would guess.
It was an add-on summer kitchen.
Yeah.
At a previous meeting, you'll notice the main chimney is much bigger than it. And the commission at that time, and I know that the original main chimney was the same size as the one on the left. And the commission would not approve it unless I made it look like a Cape Cod chimney. So we did.
Like a real chimney.
If you're gonna gable the ceiling, I'm inclined to agree with Todd. So if that's the only thing, that's all I have.
Don, any,
Yeah, I have nothing.
Sarah? It's your meeting. Sorry.
It's okay. I think it's fine. I don't have any objection.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have any comments?
No.
All right. Thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Frew. Would anyone in the audience like to speak for this application? Would anyone in the audience like to speak against this application? HDC 20-67 is closed.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank you. So I think, I'm assuming, Peter, you didn't find anything.
I found an email from Tom Zanarini yesterday,
Okay.
sent Monday, October 19th, confirming the information. I guess it didn't get posted. Is it the only thing we're looking at?
Okay. All right. Well, I think that based on Eric's concerns, I have my own opinions, but I just don't think that we should be discussing them in the public hearing, that we should continue HDC 20-63.
So moved.
right.
I'll move to continue it.
All right, it's continued.
Do we need a second?
Wasn't that you? I thought I was making the motion. You were continuing, Don. I apologize.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
All right, so it's continued. So let's open the deliberations of the public hearings. HDC 20-67, 11 Gravel Street, Bob and Susan Frew. This was removing the chimneys and changing the windows. Does anyone have any comments or motions?
How about just the windows in the back? So that's fine because it's not visible from a public way. My only comment on the chimney is that we should just be cautious about allowing the removal of chimneys if they're contributing to the structure. If they're not in this circumstance, then I think it warrants the removal.
Okay. Any other comments or motions?
I just, procedurally, what are we doing about the window? Do we make some kind of notice that we're not approving it one way or another because it's not within our jurisdiction?
When we sign I suppose we can make the motion based on that. If I don't think it really matters whether we approve it or note that it's not within our jurisdiction.
Well, I might add to that since I don't have an objection to what he wants to do with the window anyway, and since we don't know absolutely for sure that it isn't visible, I think we should approve the application as submitted, and if the window is not visible, then we had no jurisdiction, but I would make a motion to approve the granted certificate of appropriateness or the application is made.
Second.
All in favor? I'll do roll call. Moriarty, aye. Goodman,
Aye.
Brady,
Aye.
Levinson.
Aye.
The application is approved. All right, pre-application hearings. We have some people. I don't know if I see everybody. The first person I see is Pete Hurd.
Good evening. I was just listening in. I was on a couple of weeks ago regarding the fence, and I guess my application didn't make it in time to be on tonight's meeting. So I'm just listening in to
Okay.
understand the process and all that. I hope you don't mind me
No,
eavesdropping.
not at all.
New owner trying to understand.
Sure.
That's why we call them public hearings.
Thank you.
All right, the next person I see is Tori Finelli.
You see me?
Yes.
Oh, good, okay. I'm not very good at this yet. So
All right, relax.
I have a PowerPoint. If I can screen share, it would make it easier. Does that work?
You need to talk to the boss, Peter. I don't know how to do that. Peter,
I think somebody has to promote me or something, or
Promote the panelists. I'm trying to, when I was looking for stuff, I kind of messed up my page here. I lost my bar on the top.
I guess maybe I can only not do it because someone else is sharing.
There we go.
Does
Wait a
that
minute.
make
Now I'm
sense?
back. There we go. Hang on a second. I finally got back in here. Now we got to go to. And which
Okay.
one's speaking right now? This is Tori.
Now, yeah, this is Tori Finelli.
Okay.
Do you see my screen?
There you go, right there. Yep.
Okay. So we're at 31 New London Road, which is at the corner of West Mystic and New London, Route 1. And we have a detached garage, which we want to improve on. So let's see if I can get this to go. Okay, so the application, which I don't have I had an old one, so I cut and paste. So the footprint will not change. Improvements include new windows, doors, garage doors, and raising a back section of the roof to match the main roof. Windows and doors are Andersen, and the piece of wood, the wood that'll need to be replaced will match the pine Dutch lap and painted to match. So this is a little checklist I went over from which I got from Linda Galetta, I think, to see if I had what I needed. This is the GIS, from Groton, or right there on the corner, as you can see. So driving, if you turn into town from Allen Street, this is the house. And that arrow showed where the garage, you can barely see it anyway. And then if you continue down Route 1, there's the garage as it's visible from the street. The other street is West Mystic, and there's a high hedge in the back, and you can barely see the neighbor's house off to the right. We don't see them. It's like a 15-foot hedge between the two properties. But if you are walking past the house, there's a section of picket fence, which you could look over and see there, the garage. This is what you could see from the street. So this is from standing inside the yard. And this is the proposal, part of it. I mean, I'll go through it. But right here, there's damage where the roof hits the siding. So we're hoping to raise the roof, this section of it, to be 3 feet higher. And therefore, a roof will hit roof and nothing will hit the wood. This is the view from the house, from inside the yard. We would like to do new garage doors. Rather, they would look old again. The ones we had were probably put in not that long ago. They're just wouldn't fit to, made to fit. This is the side of the garage, which you can't see. This would be the view from the street. And from the neighbors, it's hidden. So these windows are not actually visible. This would be a new window. We're trying to get more light. We're insulating it and making it usable space. Right now we use it to play ping pong. This is the backside. Nobody can see it. And there's no windows, no improvements to it anyway. These are just showing how high the hedges are on the two sides. So basically you can see the house from Route 1 and West Mystic, but not anywhere else. So we're proposing Andersen Series 400 windows, painted white, reusing the shutters. That's just the window. A door like this, which not including the side lights here, but wood Andersen door with windows to sort of mimic the window. And then on the back side, this door is very short. You sort of have to duck. When this roof, if it goes up a little, we'd like to replace that with Andersen French doors. I mean, and the mullions are, this is what they do. We could do anything. And then the garage doors, this is an example from Mystic. So I drove around Mystic Historic District to see what the garage doors looked like. This is typical. It's Greek Revival, which is what our house is, 1874. So this is actually more correct than what we have. And these are just some examples around historic, on the Groton side of historic Mystic. And that's pretty much it.
So you're actually going to raise the back portion of the building and raise the entire roof, is that correct?
Yeah, so just take the existing roof, it would move up about 3 feet.
Okay, and that will give you enough room to install conventional height doors, say 6'8" doors.
Yeah, yeah.
And those would be a set of French doors as you've shown in the picture.
Yeah.
So, all right, I don't have an issue with what you're proposing to do. You know, the fact that we can't see some of it because of vegetation doesn't matter. We don't count vegetation, so in theory we can't see it. So as we look at it as though the vegetation weren't there at all. So,
Oh, okay.
But I think that really makes a difference to me in terms of what you're proposing. So you look like you have pretty much everything you need, but you're going to have a drawing of what the building in elevation is going to look like after you raise, because you're going to be raising all the walls and then reframing the roof in its entirety, I assume, to the rear part.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't really pick it up. I bet you can move it. So you're going to want to be able to show us a drawing of what the profile or elevation of the building looks like once you've raised up the rear.
Okay.
And then show the proposed doors. And on the windows, you probably had enough detail there if you have I think I saw the Andersen spec on that window. And you just want to specify which one it is you're putting in and what the muttons look like. And then also a little bit more specific in terms of the door you're going to put in that's going to have muttons in it. So you had that photograph. I mean, if in fact that's what it's going to look like, that's fine, but you should identify it.
Yeah, I need to, online it's hard to get very specific drawings of the mullions. But once we want to purchase the doors, they will give us a drawing of exactly what we want.
Yeah,
from Andersen, so I can do that.
So that should sort of be part of your submission at a public.
Okay, so if we're not counting bushes, for instance, the back side is up against my neighbor's garage on one side, but the other side, I guess, is visible. That's the side with 2 windows. So what I just need to get specific on each window. And like I had a picture of what the drawings of what it would look like taller, but that's just the outside drawing. Do you need actual architectural drawings?
elevations. So how tall it will be.
Doesn't have to be a rendering.
Okay,
An elevation. But
Okay.
you only, if you only have to show us the detail on any window or door that you're replacing.
right.
I think it's existing. You just take photographs, say, I'm not touching this.
Yeah, if you just go to Riverhead, Rings End, Home Depot, whoever you're buying the windows from and doors from, just ask them for a quote, and they're going to show a drawing of each of those items in it.
Oh, okay.
You can just submit that. And just to Todd's point too, just a list of materials. Even if you're overly detailed, that's fine. But list out what the trim's going to be, what the siding's going to be, what the roof is
Okay.
going to be. Again, more maybe redundant, but is better because you won't,
Okay.
it won't be kicked back.
But technically then, so for example, on the material, that any trim boards or anything like that, you have to identify what the material is.
Yeah, so for
Yeah.
instance, we have pine Dutch lap right now. And so he was going to use the same. So I'll write that
Yeah.
specifically.
These other materials for your trim boards and whatever, you just have to tell us what they are. So like Boral, RAL, the kind of material. You can use anything like that, but you just have to have in your application identify what it is you're going to use.
Okay. So my other question isn't really to do with your decision. I mean, on top of that, we need to apply for a building permit. Is it okay to do it at the same time? I mean, before I hear back from you, can I start the permit process?
No, you need the certificate of appropriateness for the permit.
Oh, you do?
Peter, that's right?
Yeah, I mean, Peter might look at your submission before your decision.
Yeah, you could submit, I just can't give final approval until you have the HTC approval. So if you wanted to, wanted to speed up the process of actually going through the building permit, I just can't issue it until you actually went through HTC. So it's a gamble. If they didn't give it to you at HTC, then you wasted the time and money on a building permit that you're not going to get.
Right.
So, but if you're feeling confident with it, you can come in and do it, and I just can't issue it until that point.
Does
It'd
it
be
look,
pending.
I mean, looking at what I have,
I would
do I,
submit for the permit.
Yeah,
what?
I would submit for the building permit
right.
if I was in your shoes.
Yeah, so because I just noticed you guys weren't meeting for another month because your next meeting would be election day. So I was trying not to lose a whole month because I figured the building permit's going to take a few weeks also. So maybe if can I just start at my own risk, start that process?
Yeah, if you want, like I said, you could do that I mean, this is HTC, this is not the building side, but the building side, if you were to submit a permit, I would basically go through, review it, and basically you need HTC approval for a final in order for me to issue the permit.
Okay.
What I think saying is that you could submit that information to him now. You would be
Right.
assessed a building permit fee.
It would what?
You would be assessed a building permit fee when you apply for the building permit, which has got to do with the value of your improvement.
I'm not sure I understand, sorry.
Basically, the day you got the approval from HTC and it went through, I'd be able to issue the building permit at that point if I did the review by that.
Right, so,
You'd streamline it if you wanted to.
Okay.
If you gambled, go get the building application, fill it out, submit everything to me, and as long as they approve it, then you're gonna be fine.
okay. Sounds good. So if I want to get back on the agenda, I guess in 1 month, you're not meeting in 2 weeks, right?
Correct.
Okay. So I send this to Tom Zamarini.
The packet goes to Tom Zanarini, and it's always due the Wednesday right after the meeting. So the next would be the first Tuesday of November. It would be due that Wednesday. That'd be
Okay.
the drop dead for the application.
And that's the 4th. And then you guys meet again something like 2 weeks after that. Okay.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks. All right. I think the next one that I see is Peter Springsteel.
Yep, I'm here.
Hi, Peter.
Hello. So I can screen share? Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm here tonight for Ryan and Cheryl Harmon. They're the proud new owners of this tiny little lot right here at 8 Ashby Street. And it's probably one of the smallest lots in town. This is it here. And there's an existing home right here. Let's see. So this is the property card photo of this house. And actually, this is Ashby Street here. This is the left side of the house. You can see there's a dormer on the right side there. So this is our 3D model. This is the existing house right here. There is an existing deck that goes around the back and the side of the house, but that's been torn off right now. That's no longer there. And you can see that this lot drops off precipitously from the street. Basically, the property line follows this retaining wall. So what we're proposing to do is add on to the house. So here again, this is Ashby Street here. The actual front of this building is right on the property line. And the pavement actually comes right up to the front door on this thing. So that'll all be maintained. We're proposing to put a new deck on and a new configuration and a new covered porch roof right here that'll extend off the existing roof. And then on the left side, we're looking to mimic the dormer that's on the right side. So this is the existing dormer here. And we're looking to add this dormer here on the left side. In addition to that, we're looking to do a addition off the rear of the house. So you can see here, more or less what we're proposing. There'll be a walkout basement as there is now, but it'd be further back into the yard. A first floor and a second floor. And we're picking up the roof line of the dormer to carry into the addition. And this being the back of the house, it's not going to be as obvious as showing here. Although you do see this from that, the next road down. I don't remember the name of that.
It's High Street, isn't it?
Mm,
No, High's 2 down.
no,
Yeah, what's the name of that street?
I can tell you here in a minute.
How come, Peter, how come you're not matching the roof line on the front of the addition as you are in the back?
I mean, the steep roof line?
Yeah, to the right, it lines up, but to the left, it's not.
Right
lined
here?
up. There, yeah.
Because the center line is different. This is the center of the addition. This is the center of the main house.
Okay.
So then it would be asymmetrical if I did come up to here and then come back down. I think it would look odd from the back. So I do have some elevations here I can show you. So this would be front elevation. We're going to maintain the existing front look, all the detail. Probably going to replace all the siding with new materials, but there is the shingling up in the gable. Clapboards on the first floor, the wider, the somewhat wide corner boards. I got some brackets here. We'll probably use a hardy plank or some other painted composite materials for siding. This is the left side. So this is the new dormer. This is the addition in the back, new deck addition here. This is the rear view. So there's your new deck. This is that porch roof we're adding on. And then this is the addition. And this is a new stairway transitioning from the deck down to the lower level. And then this is the side you see as you come up the street. You go by the front of this house, it creeps up on you so quick you almost don't notice it. But this side is most prominent as you're coming up Ashby Street, which is a one-way from this direction. So this dormer's already there. We are moving windows around from where they are now. These two windows exist. This is the new porch. And then this is the new addition piece here and the new deck and stairway in here. This retaining wall is not there right now. The lot just slopes right down like this right now. So this driveway pull-in area and retaining wall are new features. Site there.
Peter, I'm kind of inclined to agree with Don. I just think since you see the back of this house from Latham Street
Yeah, that's it.
kind of clearly, it would be nice if you could clean up or detail up maybe a little more of that addition piece on the rear there.
Okay.
It just doesn't. I just feel like you could do a little more to be in character with the front.
Yeah, I can do that. Sure. We could add something to it.
If
In
it
general,
wasn't so
in these-
visible from Latham, I would be less interested, but
Typically, the houses in the historic district, when they added on to them, the additions were usually simpler than the main house. But I could certainly do something. I wouldn't go over the top.
no, you're correct. You're correct, and I would agree. I don't think you need to go crazy on it. And it may just be this view, but maybe just a little more. Something.
And maybe I'll give you a shot from Latham Street so you can see. I think it gets cut off. The bottom probably gets cut off a little bit, so you're gonna see the top part of it most.
Yeah, to me, I'm with Don. It's just the matching of the roof lines looks a little flat, maybe, or something.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe even just like one corbel in the middle on the top, or a couple corbels, or something, or some type of molding, or I'm not sure.
Yeah. All right. I'll come up with something. Sure, I can dress it. Any other comments?
It looks like a lot of decking to me. That's all.
Don?
Huh? I'm saying it looks like a lot of decking to me for the size of the house.
Okay.
It looks deceivingly larger than it's going to be, though, on Peter's drawings. I looked at this house actually when it went up for sale. It's pretty small, so that deck I think is also not going to be that large. It may even be smaller than what was there.
Yeah. Essentially, the deck now comes down the side like this, and then it goes all the way across the back in about that dimension. So we're mimicking it. It's just projecting out because of the addition.
What's the big, it's like the lower part to the left of the deck, there seems to be like a flat area,
Right here.
like, no, more to the left. Yeah, that's got the 3 piers there.
Oh, this is the stairway coming off the deck to get down to the lower level.
So, yeah, all right.
It's tough because I bet you that drops, what, 10 feet from the front to the back of the property at least?
Yeah, it's 8 or 9. Yeah. 8 or 9.
So you gotta, otherwise you'd end up with a giant staircase going all the way across the yard. If you didn't have the landing halfway down.
Yeah,
Okay.
so on plan, this is it here. So from the street, you're not going to really see much of this, and you're probably not going to see a lot of this from Ashby Street. And then from Latham Street, you're going to see this, but you're not going to see most of this here. We are going to need variances for this. As you can see, this red line here, these red lines, that's the building envelope.
Squeezing a lot on there.
So I suppose, if you wanted to reduce deck, this, there's a very good view from this deck here, so this would be the more important one. But it would be disengaged from this area here. So when you get out of your car, you wouldn't be able to get to the doorway here. You'd have to go up to the front, come in this way. So this is a very convenient way to get in the kitchen.
I don't have a problem with the deck.
No, I don't either. I would just encourage the use of a quality railing system
I
that
mean, like Intex?
like Intex that mimics a wood product.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, those will be the picket rails, so they'll look more traditional.
An Ipe or some type of wood decking.
And I think probably when Eric talks about the rear of the building, some of it may have to do with the sort of disconnect between the top floor and the 2 floors below from a fenestration standpoint. And
Yeah.
obviously you're wrestling with the issue of a very low pitch because you're working off what are dormers on a gable of the front of the house, and you put those dormers in and you don't get a lot of pitch. And I think as you explained, you're not lining your ridges up, because then the rear would be an odd shape too.
Yeah, you're never going to see these two ridges together.
Yeah, I think you're right. But I think what is that room up there, Peter?
That's the master bedroom and a bathroom right here.
So the reason for the smaller window, for example, on the right is because it's a bathroom, right?
Yeah, but we could work on it. I mean,
On the left to balance it on the exterior.
Maybe just carry the cedar shake around in the top area, make a band or something. Just something that breaks it up a little bit.
yeah, this shower could be cut off here, and then there could be a full height window here and here. But I will come up with something, as I see that you're wanting that to be improved, which I can do.
Does anyone else have any comments for Peter? No?
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Peter.
Thank you.
All right. Kevin, I see you're still in the audience. Are you gonna do a pre-app, or we continued your application? I just didn't want you to wait around. I can't hear you. You're on mute.
Sorry. No, I'm just listening to the channel, listening to how you guys do things.
Okay. I just didn't want to make you wait. I didn't want you to be waiting for something. Okay, thank you.
I'm just taking notes. Thank you.
All right, who else do I see? Mark, you're
Yes.
up.
Me?
Yes.
Okay. Let me expand this. I can share my screen.
Peter?
It should be able to share a screen.
All right. So I'm working with Perry Lorenz and Felicia Lorenz, who are purchasing 13 Fort Rachel Place, which is quite a difficult piece of property. It's as far as I know, it's the only vacant piece of property over in Fort Rachel. It ascends from 28 elevation 28 MSL to 55. So we've spent a lot of time developing and fine-tuning a program that maneuvers its way through 4 stories from the, if you can see my mouse cursor, from the lower, when you pull off of Fort Rachel Place into the garage, from the lower level to a main level, to a medium level, up to the guest rooms on the top. Perry Lorenz, if you don't know, is the president and CEO of AZ Corporation, and he's got a very keen eye for architecture. And he, you know, you know, some clients are real patrons of architecture, and they have a vision to know what fits, and Perry's one of them. And, you know, we talked about this from a philosophical point of view of, you know, what do you put up there? In my heart of hearts, I love to put glass, steel, and Mies van der Rohe. And yet at the same time, Perry does not want to be vilified. And yeah, anyway. So we've really struggled with what to do, and kind of, you know, the modern farmhouse is something that we've locked in on. It really suits itself to the program, to what his wife likes, which is probably the most important thing, and how the spaces on the inside work. So this is the east elevation that you would never see, by the way. I would probably venture to say the town of Groton will never see this building. You would need to go to Red, it's so steep. You would need to go to Red 36 to look across the river and see this. I've got numerous pictures from around the sidewalk, and when we go to public hearing, I would, of course, we've built this up in Revit, and we would plan to show it. But we want to go with sort of an abstract expression, if you will, of basic federal components in terms of the wide pilasters, 15-inch pilasters, not paneled, but just plain 15-inch express pilasters up to a gable. The horizontal siding you see would be a lot like Bravo, just pure white, brilliant white. And between the fenestration, this panel would be a material. It's a vertical rain screen material that would be more like a light charcoal gray as an accent. The roof would be a dark black standing seam roof like those, like you see in the pictures. So this vertical material would be this, spanned between the windows and the spandrels. The fenestration, by the way, that you see is oversized. Those double hungs are 3'6" by 7 feet. So the sense of scale can be fooled in the fact that it's not a small structure. The black and white, I'm circling the upper left photo up here. The black window frames with the white siding and the charcoal roof is what we envision here. I put this image up here for how the dormer would look. The dormer would be the darker material with the standing seam roof. So it's white, charcoal, and black roof. And we have a stone wall that negotiates its way, get this, from elevation 29 at the driveway. It makes its way up a series of stairs to the main level deck. So you arrive for a barbecue and you come up here, and it's one flight. And then you go up another flight to this level here, and then up to the master bedroom flight where you're on the top of the rock, getting this great view up the river to Mystic Seaport. So the white, the charcoal, the black, and up here in the pediment, I've designed sort of a rolled recessed window ensemble a la McKim Mead and White. But we kind of envision a very deep marine blue metal up there. Something a little edgy and a little snappy. I don't think to repeat, you know, false pretense in anything colonial on that site would be apropos, nor do I think at this time to present something that's super contemporary would fit the site as well. I think that this is it's a modern, edgier redescription of a lot of the elements that we have going on, of course, in the Mystic landscape. This is the south elevation. When you pull into the driveway, this is what you would really see. Lots of real stone on the lower level. There's a stone staircase that takes you up to the main level. This is the drive. This is the garage. Full glass garage doors. You would never really see this. You would have to get on the roof of the boatyard property to actually look in these garage doors. And then a lot of the same expressions with the charcoal standing seam roof, the Boral horizontal clapboard siding exposed 6 inches to the weather, the same vertical material in the spandrels between the fenestration. I didn't articulate the standing seam roof on this elevation, but it would be, as you can see. The material we're thinking of is the Vesta material, which I've used before. It's a great material that's made of a Carbon Tech 90 product on a rain screen. I could put you 10 feet away from this material and you would not know it's not wood. We would use it again in the brilliant white, the charcoal, and this marine blue that we're thinking on the top. We're thinking either a metal or a vertical beadboard. Vesta makes this material in vertical beadboard as well, with a 3.5 inch bead, a 5.5 inch bead, and a 7.25 inch bead at the same time. I just want to go to my CAD and one of the most difficult things that we've done is to try to site this baby because this is Fort Rachel Place right here. And you come in this driveway, shaded as you can see, between these stone walls. And there'd be a stone wall here where you park in front of it. And this would be the garage doors right here, the 2 glass garage doors. And the house makes its way, follow my mouse, from elevation 28 up to this rock, which is elevation 55. So in order to see the garage doors, which are all glass, you'd be down here on a ladder on the roof of the boatyard buildings. It's that high. Because of course, if you follow Fort Rachel Place down and around here to Water Street, you're down at elevation 4. So you're 28 feet to the ground up here above that. And then these are, again, this is the articulated elevation of the south that you would see were you to go up on the property. And then we have this elevation view of the east view that you would see from, say, like Bravo or something like that, which would really be more like this picture here. So nothing over the edge, just I think the only thing that's a little more contemporarily expressed would be the combination of the stone rail system opening up here and there for what's called hog wire. Hog wire is a very rigid baluster system made of a wire that it comes galvanized. We would use black. So you would barely even see that it's there with black rail between the stone that you see here. You would make your way up this staircase. And then a lot of the rest of this would look kind of a lot like Bravo. Basic, contextual elements, white, charcoal, and black roof. So we're making our way through and we're looking to potentially come to the next meeting with products in hand, well, virtually in hand, and our elevations ready to talk about for a public hearing.
I guess my comment is I'm dying to drive by the site to see what it looks like. Just to look at the layout. I don't know what anybody else has comments for.
This is across the street from the property that we had the big problem with the guy in his garage. It's
Yep.
sort of almost directly across the street.
Okay.
And does it start at the same grade as the property across the street, Don?
The street level does, but then it is way up on a rock.
And when you leave the street,
What's the elevation at the street, Mark?
28, 20. When you leave the street to get up to the elevation that I'm talking about, that's 28, you're driving up a hill it's got to be 8, it's probably 20. It's probably elevation 20.
So the garage floor, such as it is 8 feet above.
Yeah. Yep, 8 feet above the road.
Above floor. So it's
I've-
already.
I actually have some. Oh, all right. Well, I had pictures. I don't know what the hell I did with them, but I had some pictures somewhere in here of the site. Yeah, from Fort Rachel Place, you immediately go uphill to get to the lowest plateau of the site. And then when you get there, you're at elevation 28, and then it's just all uphill from there. I would definitely encourage everybody to not only go to the site, but drive around Fort Rachel Place down onto Water Street, and you'll realize that this is it's like an osprey nest. You like I said, the Groton side will just hardly even know this thing is there. You've got to really go to Stonington to look across and say, oh my God, look at this thing.
Well, you'd see it from the river, obviously, which is a public way.
Definitely the river. Yep.
Mark, I actually like your work a lot. I'm just not going to lie to you. This is really hard for me to stomach on a historic site such as that.
I don't think it's really a historic site. I mean, you know, when I approach these things, Eric, I look at, you have to remember, these sea captains that built our village, when they came back from Europe in the 18th and 19th century, they were loaded with designs that were very contemporary, that were edgy, and when they built them, they were vilified for it. And you know, last night I presented a new project in Stonington next to M-Bar, where that gas station is. And as I told the board last night, Andre Palladio, who architects copy, was doing Renaissance architecture when Gothic was all the rave, and he went against the Gothic to do what he thought was right, and then later on, only to find out that he was just kind of on an edgy way. I think that we need to, in this village, look. You know, we can't build false history. And this came up with Central Hall, which Peter carried across the finish line, and I had done the concepts for. And to have copied anything would not have done, I think, Mystic any justice. So we're trying to take the forms, basic form of the federal that would have possibly have been considered on the site. But it's 2020, and we've got great materials and great ways to express the way that we understand the history and bring it forward.
Again, I think you're just taking a very historic site and you're putting something that I think is too edgy and too modern for that site.
What's historic about it?
That's the former fort. There were battles, there were cannons up there. That's the former fort.
So what goes up there?
For many years, nothing. And I'm not sure. I just personally, like I said, I'm a fan of your work. I actually like it. I just personally don't think this fits that site.
I am interested. I will drive by it. I've always kind of been of the ilk that if it's a vacant lot, you know, our job isn't to make it look old. So I don't have an issue with modern architecture on vacant lots, my opinion. But I can't visualize the site, so I will probably go there tomorrow, but that's my personal opinion.
Well, I feel very strongly about the direction of new architecture in Mystic, and I think that a lot of it boils down to okay, what time period are you going to pick as the appropriate time period for any house in Mystic, whether you're a ship's captain from the 1800s or an industrialist from the late 1900s or the 20th century. So I have always believed that architecture is a dynamic thing. You know, what was acceptable or likable 100 years ago may be very much less so today. So I don't personally have a problem. Matter of fact, I would prefer some more innovative architectural models on the Groton side of Mystic, and especially to the extent that they borrow certain elements from these older vintage houses. I mean, I'm not a big fan of new buildings that look like old buildings. And having done a number of certified historic rehabs, I can tell you that whenever you build something new or you add on to something old in a historic district, if you're going to meet the Parks Service standards, it better be obvious that it was built today, not 100 years ago. And so it creates issues. And I know it's a subject that a lot of people can disagree on. When you look at something and you say, well, exactly what is that? Because I think this house, you can't really date it or fully describe it in an overall architectural context because it's borrowing different elements. I think that the rendering here of the elevation probably is a little bit misleading in showing the different sidings and also in showing the standing seam roof. In the drawing we're looking at right now, that standing seam roof looks a lot more prominent and obtrusive, for example, than does the one in the upper left hand, the white house with the black roof on it. So I think that the overall impression or image of the house would actually be less differentiated or less noticeable in the flesh than, say, in this particular one. Just because it's hard to draw in black and white different materials and really see what you're looking at. So if you look at Mark's, the building down to the lower left, which has got some of that exterior cladding on it, but that to me looks very different from what I'm looking at in the center rendering. So I think it's probably not going to be quite as imposing as it maybe appears here. That you can't see it from the Groton side and that you can only see it from the other side, I think and I'm not sure that's really a critical issue one way or the other. I mean, it is what it is and it's visible from the other side. So we have to take that into account in terms of what you're going to see. But I think you're right. You're not going to see much from our side of the room.
The only thing, Eric, if it makes you feel any better, is that it's because it's so much higher than the surrounding neighborhood. It's not like a house that's plopped down in the middle of other houses that are, much more historical. It's a very unique site. It's, seriously up on the top of a rock, basically.
I don't disagree I don't dislike the design. I actually don't. I like it. I just don't think it's appropriate for that location. I think if you come down that street and you see what's surrounding that lot, I don't think this fits into the neighborhood. I just don't. I think in another location, I think it's great. I'd buy it. I think it's a beautiful house. I'm not saying Mark, you should go create a faux federal or, some Italianite home. I'm just saying personally, in my opinion, based upon driving and living on that street and knowing it very well, the site and every house there, I just don't think it fits in. I don't. And I don't think, Todd, with all due respect, I'm just not sure that's going to change, but that's why the commission's made up of more than one member. So I'm not sure you could sway me in any way. I'm sorry, but you've got other people, so I wouldn't be too worried about it.
So I'm going to go by the site. Mark, I don't know where that necessarily leaves you if you want to come back for another pre-app, what you want to do. But I would like to see the site, so I'll go sometime this week.
Yeah, the only thing, Sarah, to really appreciate it, you really have to walk up the hill that it sits on.
Then maybe I'll go this weekend.
Even though it has a no trespassing sign on it, but.
Yeah, you can go up there, between the owner, you can go up there and climb up to the rock. Just be careful. There's a real sheer face on the other side that drops down to Water Street that you could go ass over tin whistle. You know, when you have these anomaly lots that were left over in the middle of the landscape, it's hard to figure out, you know, what is the right thing to do with them. And I absolutely vehemently will fight the fact that putting something colonial on it is not the answer. Putting something period that looks 1875, I think makes us look like we're just stuck in the mud. Putting a glass and steel cube that looks like it's going to fall down the hill isn't the answer either. I think that what we tried to do here was take the basic forms and proportions and scales and fenestration and apply them in a way that's a little more contemporarily expressed and edgy, that would show that it was built in 2020, because it is a lot that nobody's mastered before or had the wherewithal to try to figure out what to do. And then on top of it, to build a program for a client that's going to be very usable for them. You know, it's not a monument to them. It's a place that they want to have their family. So it's a marriage of a lot of things that comes together here, and something that we want to be proud of, and we want you to be as well. You know, along the way of it, we want you to say, yeah, that was, you know, that was well thought out. And I think Todd's right in that the house would really look a lot more like a combination of the upper left and the upper right. Very white, with the accent of the charcoal, which, you know, the CAD shows black lines black, and so it looks pretty stark. The roof would look like Bravo. It is what it is, you know. Picture Bravo up on the hill. It's good. That's kind of the vision in a way that we're looking at.
Right. That's a good point. The houses on the right, all three of them, from the top right to the bottom right, those houses don't really jump out at you nearly the same degree as the rendering tends to, but I think that those houses are more representative of what the house would actually look like than is the rendering. And it's because of the peculiarities of CAD and how it illustrates certain forms and substances and surfaces.
So maybe it's a matter of just cleaning up the drawings.
Yeah, we would come in for the public hearing with Revit modeling, showing what it would look like from down below, from right up in front of the house. You know, I would say, I can remember when we presented the design of Central Hall, and some of you probably remember, wow, you know, it was really a fire torch in the town, because it was going to create a canyon of mass up against the main block building and so on and so forth. And actually, now that Central Hall is done, it's very light and airy on the facade because of how Peter drove it home with the colors and the cream and the taupe and all that. It's really hard to make these renderings come out the way that's in our mind, you know, which is why I put the storyboard together, because the storyboard shows a lot more of the articulations, how they would look in 3 dimensions when the project is done. So,
Mark,
so you're right.
I just want you to understand, like, I do not dislike your design. I actually really, this is my style. And if this was a house I'd build it. I personally just am not sure that it fits in that neighborhood with the other homes around it. That's what I'm trying to say. So if your drawings represent, if your revised drawings represented a little less stark to me, which may not be the right word, then I'm not saying I'm 100% opposed to it. I'm not saying don't build anything. And I'm sure, as agreeing with you guys, to say don't put something that looks like it was 300 years old or whatever. Don't put a fake house there. I agree with that. That I do.
Okay. So I'm gonna look at the site. Mark, I don't know if you wanna, what you wanna do. Come back for a pre-app or go straight to a public hearing. That's up to you.
Well, I'll lay the cards on the table. Perry's got an option on it, not an option. He's got a contract with the owner.
Mhm.
And part of the contract with the owner, because this property has had such bad luck with your commission, part of the preliminary agreement has this attached to it, and the clock is ticking on it. And it's taken us a long time to get the program and work out what we thought was a sympathetic yet forward-looking design that would be appropriate up here. So I don't know that, and especially when we're losing election day, I'm going to have to say we got to roll the dice and do what we can to basically make you all, realize that this is going to be a contributing project that we can all talk about. It's a chance we got to take because the clock is ticking.
Okay, you don't lose anything by going to public hearing. It's completely within your wherewithal.
Right.
So I don't.
Yeah, I just know that in his contract language, we've got to move things along.
Okay.
And I hate to rush things, but it's taken a long time to figure out matching his program to a building that could actually be built. It's one of the more challenging designs I've had to work on in quite a long time.
No, but my only comment would be if time is of the essence isn't in the contract, then what would be 2 weeks of just representing it and then coming back 2 weeks after that?
But are you meeting in 2 weeks?
No, you would be on the schedule for, what's the date in?
November 17th.
November 17th. All I'm saying is just come for one more preliminary, let us review a full set, and then hear it on the following 2 weeks. You're only losing 2 weeks versus trying to rush it through and,
So follow-up preliminary on November 17, and then 2 weeks later would be the hearing.
Right.
Okay. And so I just want to be clear, get some clear direction, Eric, where it's obvious with the elevations that we've got a very strong pedimental form that's very all over both, all four sides. What, in terms of, you mentioned starkness, I just want to guide me down the road as to what's jumping out here that's maybe alarming for that site.
It's, for me, it's just tough to take it in with the surrounding photos and it being black and white and in the middle. I'd like to see it as like true elevations with, rendering, so I can look at it as what it's going to look like versus trying to see it in the middle of everything.
Okay.
Like, it's not going to have that bank of windows that's in the upper right photo.
There's just a lot going on in your board, so it's just tough personally to focus in on the middle. And also seeing it, to Todd's point, in just true black and white, it's a little hard. And just to see what materials where and how it's going to look. To me, it just looks like a lot of competing, somewhat brutalist material, which probably isn't the right word either, but.
Well, I think maybe the Revit rendering, which those aren't the best thing in the world either, but it might help clear things up in terms of those materials. We can try to render in as much as we can the materials that we're looking at to clear that up. And I won't storyboard it with imagery of how we got to what we were thinking, if that's cluttering your view of it.
Yeah, I understand where you got it from. And like I said, I like it. It's tough for me to see it in knowing that street so well and seeing the surrounding homes and then see this. It's tough for me to visualize how it fits in.
Well, the only comment I make on that is, in particular, was if you look at the house on the lower right-hand side, which has that large panel. It looks like maybe it's a stair going up, Mark, or something.
Yep.
Got the lit vertical window. I mean, I look at that and I look at the roof lines and I look at the siding and the windows and stuff. And to me, I look at that and I say, well, that's obviously a house that was built very recently. But in comparison to if it's sitting next to a colonial house or a federal house or whatever, I don't think that it is really would be clashing with it. And that's with that large, looks like colored panel vertically going up from the first to the second floor. I mean, again, I see it as a progressive architectural, architectural piece of work that I think is really nice to look at, and maybe more interesting to look at than some of the other stuff, and is contributing in its own way, in my opinion.
And that's what we want to do. I mean, you know me, I'm the historian. I wrote my history textbook, and it's hard for me to go out on these edges sometimes. But I think it's a place we need to go. You know, we struggled with this on the Stonington side with the Thompson building at the seaport. I had people stop me on the sidewalk. They couldn't believe we approved that building. And yet now, you know, it seems it's a little edgy, but you know, AZ did a good job building it, and it looks pretty nice. We don't want to do something that you know, you go to towns like Freeport, Maine, Newburyport, Massachusetts, Gloucester, Massachusetts, and I like to see how those towns treat their history and treat looking forward too. So I'm definitely sympathetic, and as a board member in Stonington, I'm always thinking about how it's a struggle. How do we take these historic contexts and be respectful of where they are, yet move the discussion forward? And that's all we want to do. So I'll come back on the 17th, and I will pare it out to just the drawings. I won't clutter it with all the storyboard imagery. We'll do some Revit modeling that I think will help it out quite a bit. And I mean, I probably can't say enough that if you like the way Bravo Bravo came out, this is kind of what this is going to look like with the black standing seam roof and the white siding and the black frame windows. It's a lot like that, and maybe it's a little over articulated in the CAD drawing. So we'll come back with something that I think will better represent what you're looking at, and then maybe 2 weeks after that we'll be good to go.
Okay, thanks, Mark.
Okay. And do visit the site and walk it. I encourage you to do that. It's definitely quite a breathtaking view to see up there.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. All right, no more pre-application hearings. Right? Peter, you're just hanging out. You don't have another one?
No, I'm good.
Oh, no, I was talking to Peter Springsteel, so sorry.
Okay. All right. Well, very interesting, guys. I'll talk to you in mid-November. Thank you.
I was just hanging out to watch Mark.
Okay, good. Thank you. All right, any public communications?
No.
All right, approval of the minutes from October 6, 2020.
Move we from October 6, 2020.
I second. All in favor? I'll do a roll call. Moriarty, aye. Goodman,
I wasn't there for most of it, so I'll just abstain.
You can vote or not.
you
Doesn't
can vote or not, it doesn't matter.
Okay, yes, whatever.
Brady,
Aye.
Levinson,
Aye.
minutes are approved. All right, old business. None that I'm aware of. New business, I wouldn't mind talking about what happened in the first application and a procedure around it, but honestly, I thought tonight was going to be a short meeting, so I picked my son up from swim team at 6:30, and he's been trapped in my office ever since, and he's about to shoot me with elastic bands. So if maybe we could discuss that through email or at the next meeting.
Fine with me.
Okay.
Yeah, we can get into discussion about that, you know, through the emails. Tom Zanarini's going to be taking over for putting the packets together. on
Okay.
these, especially with the dealing with the Zoom and all the information that has to get put and downloaded.
Yep.
As opposed to the old way we did it. So moving forward, he's going to be putting all of these packets together. We're in a transition right now, the last couple of weeks of having him in charge of that. So
Okay, and I have a couple thoughts that may or may not work. But
We need a plan, that's all.
right, I don't disagree. So just in some consistency, because this is where I think we're still trying to navigate to do this the best way we can. But I'll put that out in an email and we can figure it out.
because I don't think this virtual world is going to go away for a while.
Fortunately not.
So, and then Peter, so will Tom then be attending the meetings in your stead, or is he just putting the packages together?
He's going to be putting the packages together, and I'm going to be meeting with him the Friday before the meeting to go over it.
Okay. Sounds like a good idea.
All right.
I also think just in light of Mark's presentation, though, we also should just have somewhat of a conversation, because I think we're all saying the same thing. I think we're just saying it sort of differently with regards to what we think is appropriate and what isn't, with regards to new construction. Because I think, Todd, I know you and I have had this conversation in many meetings, and I don't disagree with the let's not create fake history. It would be good to have some direction on what's the direction of the board in light of the old kind of guidance and, you know, how we see things going forward.
Okay.
Which we can do that. But I just would add the only cautionary note that I don't think that we amongst ourselves can decide what is or isn't appropriate or acceptable or whatever, except on a case-by-case basis. Because we're not designed to build.
No, I agree with that. I feel like we've all in circumstances regurgitated the same thing, which is to not create fake history, but I just would like to get a better sense of, you know, what we see is the right, just some direction, that's all. Because my big thing is I just don't want to kind of be bouncing all over the place, because it creates bad precedent if there is one, and just a bad direction. Granted, I understand what you're saying about it being one-offs.
Sarah, I just warn you, I've been up there, and don't wear high heels.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Watch out for the empty beer cans and beer bottles.
Yeah, there's a
All
few
right.
of those up there too.
Thank you for the warning. All right, if no one has anything else, I will move to adjourn. All right,
Sounds good.
thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.